Hear that? Sounds like our delivery drone.
I'm on it.
Just, check the box underneath for the toolkit.
I swear to God, Andy, if it's empty again...
That was one time. Trust me, you'll be dicking around with landmines soon enough, Mac.
The siege of the town? My notes suggest it lasted for 2 weeks. How could that be?
Divine intervention.
Pardon me?
No, just the weather. Got in their way. Weeks of thick cloud cover blanketed the town.
I'm still not sure I follow.
It prevented the army from calling in Cass. Soon as that cleared, though, well, you know about the cluster strike. Good. Toolkit's here. See you later, little buddy.
What's that?
Nothing. Just, talking to myself.
Okay, little buddy. Sure thing.
Hey, how are you getting on?
Not bad, not bad. Our gear's finally arrived from dispatch. I can start deactivating mines and leftover ordnance now.
Oh, right. And do you do that by hand?
Sure do. Crawl up close, identify it, and then just, disarm the thing.
I'm sure it's more involved than that.
Yeah, well, I may have skipped the part where, it can explode. Gotcha.
I've been meaning to ask, after NATO pulled out, when CSAT stepped in, how did that affect your work?
Day to day? I mean, CoinOps stepped up, but honestly, things are already sliding that way, even with NATO at the helm. For the most part, CSAT were mindful of our activities. Brutal, no doubt, but at least clinical. Whole thing felt like one big PR exercise for them. You were one sneaky little bastard. Now, what were you hiding upstairs? Alexis' house, his workshop, it was like something from another time.
I'm not quite sure I follow.
Pounding of a hammer, back and forth of a wood saw, I don't know. Things felt simpler back then, is all. Far cry from what was to come. There's an old photograph here. Picture of Alexis and his brother Marcos.
The civilian killed at the church. The landmine, right?
Yeah. Although honestly, it was a small miracle he'd made it that far.
Tell me more about Marcos.
Poor guy. He always seemed to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. He'd made it through the airstrike, but only to get caught up in the assault that followed right after.
There were still guerrillas in the town, even after the strike.
But Oreokastro, it wasn't just a town. It had become a symbol of the resistance. It was important for both sides, and government forces were making their final push. Alexis had made it out, but his brother? Like I say, Marcos was always shit out of luck. The guy had been waiting at his brother's place. Marcos had been wounded, caught in the leg by shrapnel.
I see. Do you think he never considered leaving, or to join the cause?
Marcos was there to talk his brother down. He was only interested in survival, and that would get him at the church.
He remained non-combatant then?
Protected by the Geneva Conventions, Article 51. But you gotta remember, right after the strike, getting caught in the crossfire was a danger. He soon realized he had to keep his distance. An hour or two later, the government sent a truck to our camp. The soldiers searched the civilians for hidden weapons.
But they didn't find any.
No, and we'd already checked. It's vital our camps are weapon-free spaces, safe havens.
And Marcus, he must have made it through then.
Yeah, just about. We talked a few times after. I don't know, he seemed different.
I can imagine why. And what did he do after?
Hard to tell, but like I said, he kept looking for his brother.
Of course. And Marcus, his body, is still there in the churchyard?
Yeah. To think he survived all that just to return to the same spot less than a year later.
Nathan, you said that Alexis had been a recruit in the Altis Armed Forces.
Yeah, that's right.
So, his decision to leave the army, to join the guerrillas, do you know how that came about?
It's funny, I asked Marcos the same thing once. He just looked at me and shrugged. Later on, I heard their father had been killed in the Civil War, but I don't know. Whatever his reasons, Marcos seemed to have made peace with the fact he wouldn't change his brother's mind. If I'm not mistaken, I'm actually in Alexis' place. He lived just above his workshop.
What's it like now?
Not great. The guerrillas really did a number on it. I don't think you'd ever guess this was once someone's home. If there's one thing I remember about Alexis, it was the guy's pickup truck. Thing made a hell of a racket.
And his brother, wasn't he a mechanic? Why wouldn't he fix it?
Oh, believe me, he tried. But that was Alexis, stubborn as a mule. It's strange to think kids once played here.
I assume the town was evacuated at some point.
Oh yeah, early on. Many folk left as soon as the ceasefire started to fall apart. Others fled when all those leaflets came. Just a handful of people were here for the end. You know, when I joined IDAP, we were a pretty small outfit.
And how many countries is IDAP active in today?
Now, we're pretty widespread, 50 in the global south alone. CCB, DRR, you name it, we provide aid and development for more than 60 million each year.
If you don't mind me saying, Nathan, you sound... I don't know exactly.
Look, it's great we can help so many now, just back in the day, it wasn't so much politics, you know?
Those earthquakes you mentioned, weren't there some fairly bad ones not so long ago?
Nothing too major. The worst came during NATO's invasion, actually. Solid 4s and 5s on the Richter scale. The soil out here is pretty loose, though. Folks were worried about gas lines getting damaged. Turns out, they were right to be. NATO's been busy. Even managed to clear out a few mines.
Nathan, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't IDAP and NATO share some common goals? The training, for example. The laws of armed conflict?
Sorta. It's a tough one, actually. It was important we didn't overstep the mark.
You had to be impartial.
Precisely. In a conflict, we have to remain neutral, a partner to all parties, even those that, personally, we may object to.
You mentioned that IDAP worked with a local mechanic. How did that come about?
Hollywood might call it serendipity, but I don't know, he just saved our ass one time, and then another, and so the story goes. There wasn't much special about his setup, but guy knew the difference between a crankshaft and a tire iron.
He was good at what he did then?
There wasn't much he couldn't fix. Never asked for a receipt, though, if you know what I mean. Special type, too. Very distinctive.
Remnants of the firefight? The one you've been telling me about?
That's right.
And Alexis? He'd been there?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I just met a guy claiming to have known him.